7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken, put 100 on the tees with the streak for the cash. ESPN, Seth Curry with the shot. The prodigy. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, L-Dad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the league ambassadors, and we playing to win. At the 2-yard line, and make no mistake, we running it in. Pete Carroll, we see you.
Welcome to 32 Kings Road, hosted by the league ambassadors. I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and it is my pleasure to be here today with my brothers. This is episode 58 of our vodcast, and we are going to do a check-in on the remaining participants that we didn't cover before from the 2018 NFL International Series. That would be the Philadelphia Eagles, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Tennessee Titans. We're not including the Jacksonville Jaguars because we talk about them every week. We'll also discuss some coaches that are on the brink, some coaches that have gone over the brink, Mike McCarthy, and some coaches who have made a comeback from the brink, as well as get you ready for Week 14 NFL action. But first, as a reminder, you can follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. That is Twitter, that's Facebook, that is Instagram. Also, please check out our website, theleagueam.com, where you can see previous episodes of our vodcast, 32 Kings Road, as well as our secondary show, Confirmation Bias. Wherever you consume podcasts, whether that be via Apple or Google or Stitcher, we're there as well. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, League Ambassadors. Junior Blue, what you sipping on, sir?
I got this Guinness Extra Stout tonight.
All right.
And I'm sipping on John Gruden finally playing Gary and Connolly after I've been talking about it for months. And the last 3 games, he's given up 15 yards. So maybe the kids can play.
Adjustments. Well, staying in the AFC West, I'm sipping on nothing, but I am sipping on my Los Angeles Chargers, Kevin.
You was on the brink.
Joey Bosa is back. Phillip Rivers won a big game on the road, and we can't wait to see your Baltimore Ravens in a couple of weeks to wax that ass.
Buy your tickets and shut up. We got ours.
What you sipping on, Dad?
I'm sipping on nothing as well because sometimes I just can't.
Sometimes I just shouldn't.
Right. I'm actually sipping on Coming to America. And I want to know, do you have your passport? And did you get your shots?
Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? America.
Here you go.
America.
Where, Rob?
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots?
Oh, Lord. That's what I'm sipping on, baby.
Bro, R. Kelly should be in jail.
Like, what are you doing?
He took his act overseas. That's dangerous. Kev, what you sipping on, man?
Devin, that was amazing. All right, so first and foremost, I'm sipping on this wonderful ginger ale that I bought from the corner store not too long ago. It is both delicious and nutritious. And like Devin, I drank too much this past weekend, so try and keep it clean. Our brother Omar isn't here with us today. He's alive. He's just not on the show. So quick things I want to throw out in his honor. I want to first off, it is December 4th, so I want to wish a happy birthday to the Mike Jordan of recording, Mr. Sean Jay-Z Carter, who turned 49 today. I know that 50th birthday party next year is going to be lit. We should try to get some tickets. Also, on that same day, 49 years ago, the great Fred Hampton was murdered by our Federal Bureau of Investigations. And personally, I think that if we're going to dedicate the month of December to celebrate anybody's life or death, it should be a real person who spent his life helping his people, was crucified for his beliefs, and actually did die a martyr. And that is Mr. Fred Hampton, who was only 21 years old. And I think it is our duty as men, as fathers, as brothers, as people, to make sure that our children know who this gentleman was. So back to sports. We are going to sip on our main topic.
Well,
which
before
is,
you go
of
back to
course,
sports, Kevin, you got something you want to tell us? You got some kids, man?
I have as many as you do, Kevin. you take that how you want. But so last Saturday, of course, was the heavyweight fight between Mr. Tyson Fury and the champ Deontay Wilder, which ended in a draw. And we're going to get straight to it. Gentlemen, let the world know what your takeaway was, and did the judges get this one right?
I'm just going to say that this is one of those classic cases where styles make fights. I think that we all thought that this was going to be a detonation type of knockout for Deontay. Tyson Fury has been rusty. He's been on the cocaine. He's had a layoff. He lost 200 pounds.
It was for 9 seconds.
Right. But I think that we all know there's limitations to Deontay Wilder, but what I took away from it more so than anything was how skilled and slick Tyson Fury is at 6'9", 260.
Yeah, I think the judges collectively got it right. I think that the draw was the right call. I think Deontay got 3 rounds outside of the 2 knockdown rounds, which would give him the 5 necessary and a score of 113, which is what it came out to be. I think that the judge from Mexico was watching a different fight, the 115-111 score. And I mean, we've seen this before. But my takeaway is that I think that the dissatisfaction that maybe people might be having, whether you are fans of boxing or just casual observers, is that really for the majority of the fight, it wasn't really aesthetically pleasing. Deontay was very wild. He was over punching. He was long with his punches. And it wasn't that Tyson was necessarily countering him in those instances. And Deontay was driving the fight, driving the energy of the fight. But Tyson was slick in spots. And so I think that it didn't look entertaining. The knockdowns brought energy and flavor to the fight. But then Tyson being able to recover from those knockdowns, particularly that last one, I think is what creates sort of the lasting image. But it is definitely a fight that I would like to see again. And, I keep holding on to this image of Deontay and how he fought against Stavern in his first fight, where he boxed very clinically. He used the jab. He stayed behind the jab. He operated off of that and broke down Stavern. And it was like, wow, he does have actual boxing skills. But now we're 3-4 fights removed from that. And we keep seeing the same thing. And so I think there has to be some level of concern about whether or not he can get any better than what he is.
That's what I got from the fight. The fact that he was wild. He was wild from the jump, really. And I thought it was going to be a knockout. Basically, the reasons Dev said. You lose 200 pounds. That cocaine is 99-0. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess it got a draw right now. It got a draw right now. So I'm just that's one of the things about Wilder though. I always thought his boxing wasn't great. He did do a good job in the Stavern fight, but he was wilder than normal. He was going for that knockout. He thought, hey, I can get this. I'm going to get this done this way on this big stage. And he fought somebody who you wouldn't think would be slick in the ring, but was. I would like to see it again. Hopefully he comes in with a different game plan. Yeah. Maybe a jab or two. Go to the body every now and then because he's soft there. We know that.
Right.
But I'm there to see it again.
I think that he finally was in the ring with someone that was legitimately well bigger than him and taller than him. I think him being afraid to utilize his jab because he gave up an inch in reach, maybe even 2 inches in reach, because Tyson Fury has the longest reach. I think, if not in boxing history, at least in boxing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he was herky-jerky, and he was getting counted over that because he found when he was in range for his jab that Tyson could reach him. The thing that concerns me also is the fact that Deontay came in weighing 112 pounds. From his
112 pounds.
I'm sorry, 212 pounds.
Because 112 pounds. Let me tell you something. He got the monkey on. He got the monkey on his back at 112 pounds.
More than the monkey, but
the monster.
he went from weighing 228, I believe 225 in the first Severn fight. And he just keeps getting smaller and smaller as it goes. I think when you have a 45-pound weight advantage and you start leaning on somebody in 12 rounds. It can. I think that took something out of Deontay. But one thing I do have to say is, it is absolutely amazing that he can carry that power and that frame into the 12th round. To connect that. And Kev, I know you you had a different view of the fight because you were watching it through liquor-colored glasses, but also because the way you watch fights. Did you think? Because I saw a lot of this online. Did you think that the count was long?
Everything that happened Saturday night was long. So, and I'm not.
No, Dwight.
We're not going there either. So yeah, I was absolutely drunk, and I went back and watched most of it. And then from that standpoint of the knockdown, balancing things out, I definitely agree with that. My issue with it was, okay, if we're going to say that these three judges are independent, not connected, completely thinking on their own, I agree with the point that Kenyon made. How in the world did he see that fight 115, 111 for a while? That's not conceivable for even a blind man. And somehow that determined this being a draw, which I'm fine with. I mean, again, I'm here for the second fight. I just think that there's no way in hell that there's a judge or any person on this earth that can watch that fight and thought that Wilder won it. Knockdowns or not, even though that was the longest 9 seconds of all of our lives. But the next question I have for you guys was that, so that fight was the first heavyweight title pay-per-view fight in America since 2002. So
wow.
With that being said, I mean, boxing is all about the next fight. We're all here with it. I'm going to watch it. I'm paying for it because it was fun. But what do you think is next for these two, maybe outside of this fight, and then for heavyweight boxing in general?
Well, for me, and I said this earlier, I think that Anthony Joshua is clearly now the number 4 best heavyweight in the world. And I think that today there was a panicky type tweet sent out to make sure that they stay relevant, because I don't think he can beat Luis Ortiz, Tyson Fury, or Deontay Wilder. I think that the way that this happened and the controversy, I think you have to run this back. I don't know if you run this back over here or in the UK, but I think what we're going to see is some sort of tournament type thing without it being a tournament, because now there are no excuses for Joshua to not fight either one of those two guys.
Deontay said that if the money was right, they have no problem going over to the UK. I think that there's definitely an opportunity to take it to the UK and then continue to make this. And you could have a situation where Anthony Joshua might have overplayed his hand and could be aced out for a while. Mm-hmm. There's another name I want to throw out there. And if you actually ordered the pay-per-view fight on Saturday, you actually saw this guy fight before. But Joe Joyce, who is from the UK, heavyweight, Olympian, trained by Abel Sanchez, and we was making the joke on Saturday. Abel Sanchez was grinning the whole night like, you thought you got rid of me because GGG is old. I got another one. He is an impressive heavyweight specimen from the UK.
Hey, he's
Anthony,
athletic. He did a backflip.
He did a backflip.
And then capoeira in the ring.
In the ring.
And he's 6'5" and a half, 260.
Yeah, so that's a name to put out there on your radar is Joe Joyce, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of action in the heavyweight. That's impressive. I didn't know that, Kevin, that's the first heavyweight pay-per-view since 2002.
Lewis, right?
Yeah, well, there's more pay-per-views coming in the future because now we've got 3, potentially 4, if you count Luis Ortiz. legitimate pay-per-view fighters on the horizon. So
Shout out to Uncle Jack Reese for not stopping the fight because he could have definitely stopped the fight.
he did a great job refereeing the fight, and he also did a great job of staying out of the way. But again, I would stay out of the way too if it was 500 pounds in the ring.
For real.
Let's
Hey,
go.
before we prayers up for Adonis Stevenson too.
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you, Les.
Yeah, he suffered his second loss by knockout at home in Canada, and he's had swelling on the brain. So
He was a former light heavyweight champion at 175. He also, like Anthony Joshua, dodged the smoke. But unfortunately,
they found him.
yeah. Let's go to our NFL International Series update, part 2. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Tennessee Titans. A few weeks back, we talked about, we checked in on the Oakland Raiders and we checked in on the Seattle Seahawks. Like I said, in the last 2-3 shows, we've talked a lot about the Jacksonville Jaguars. There really is nothing left to say. They just need to finish their season. But let's check on, first of all, the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. In that second week of games in London, they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Since then, they have gone on to now be at a record of 6-6. This has really been an up and down season for them. They are just coming off of a big win last night, though, 28-13 over the team from Washington. The first question I have for you guys, and I'll go to you, Junior Blue, is what has gone right for the Eagles since they've left the UK?
Alex Smith's leg getting crushed.
Get out of my brain, Les.
it kept them in the NFC East race.
Interesting.
That's the only thing.
Interesting. What's gone wrong since London, Dad?
What's gone wrong for them is the secondary is absolutely trash. Even more so than it was before London with injuries.
I think just injuries, period. But yeah.
And they lost 2 games coming off of a bye, which is tough
bad.
to do.
Yeah. Should they be invited back to London, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz is a young star quarterback in this league. They have a talented team. Their fan base is ridiculous. So I think, of course, I mean, it's hard to follow up after winning the Super Bowl. But I think that once they get healthy, they get all their pieces together moving forward, the Eagles are going to be a contender in the NFC for years to come.
I don't want to tip our hand too much because their game this Sunday is one of the games that we'll be previewing later on in the show. But I would say that game Sunday has a lot to do with how this question is to be answered. And I'll go around to all of you guys. Junior Blue, what do you see as their prospects for the rest of the season? We've got 4 games left. They're 6-6.
They have the Cowboys, Rams, and Skins on the road and the Texans at home. They not doing shit.
Dad, you concur?
I concur. And then if they're only 1 game behind the Cowboys, and we'll talk about that game. But once that's done, we'll see what happens. But the Cowboys have Tampa Bay and the Giants after that. So,
but maybe a wild card, right, Kev? Couldn't they sneak in as a wild card, or are you with Les that they're not that schedule doesn't work in their favor?
I'm with Les, man. Like you said, the schedule doesn't work out in their favor. But before that Monday night game, they hadn't won consecutive games since the Super Bowl. I think the only way that this works out for them is Meek Mill might have to do another bid for this to really pull us up. That's really they need a hope and a wish and a prayer. And I just, with these 4 games left, the way they've been playing and the way Dallas is getting into that groove, I just don't see it.
They got Sproles back. For me, one of the biggest issues I've had with them all season, at least offensively, is, hey, Doug, I know it worked for you last season where you had Wendell Smallwood, you had Jay Ajayi, you had a little bit of Darren Sproles, but they needed to settle in on a running back. They finally done that with Josh Adams, who's played well.
Injuries played in that,
and a little
though.
bit of Corey Clement. They got Sproles back. Last night, they got Golden Tate into the mix. That doesn't change the feeling at all. I mean, Zach Ertz is still there. He's on pace to actually break Jason Witten's regular season record for completions or catches by a tight end.
Any of those people you named play in the defensive backfield?
Well, you might just want to outscore tennis. They're champions.
Or stop the run. I mean, they gave up over 170 yards to Dallas, 170 to the Saints, over 100 to the
Stop the pass or the run.
I mean,
They did let Adrian.
out of these 4 games, Ken, I think they got to win 3. How?
That's what I'm saying. All right, let's go to my Los Angeles Chargers, a much more happier subject. They are currently 9-3. They in London, they were the final game in London. They played against the Tennessee Titans, where Mike Vrabel did them a solid. And for those of you that don't remember, Tennessee drove down at the end of the game. They scored the touchdown, had an opportunity to kick the field goal to send it to overtime. And Mike Vrabel's like, no, we saw Big Ben yesterday. We gonna beat Big Ben today. And they went for the 2-point conversion, and they didn't get it, and they lost.
Nope.
And we will get to the Titans in a minute. But the Chargers, 9-3. Also coming off, as I said earlier, a big win on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dad, what's gone right for them since London?
Aside from beating Pittsburgh on the road, they also beat Seattle on the road.
Yeah.
And they're 4-1 coming out of that. And they fixed their kicking situation.
Well, that's debatable.
and they're what, 5-1 on the road now?
Yeah.
They've been on the road. And look, you mentioned it earlier in the show, and I have to admit, it was a rough weekend, Kenyon, and I really wanted that Sunday night game to be over so I could go home and go to sleep. So yes, part of me wanted them to just get blown out. But if you look at their history, you may not notice because you're recently a Chargers fan. They have a history of losing games like this.
No, I know.
On the other hand,
Listen,
they're 220-0-2 at home with a 14-point lead. It just, the writing was on the wall, but they turned it around. And Kenyon, I do apologize.
No, listen, they're 221-2 because of
before that game.
because of the Chargers. No, I've said that, and even when we going back to last season when I had to pick between the two teams, I liked everything, and I've liked everything about the Chargers except for Phillip Rivers in games when it matters. And with the Seattle game, as you said, Deb, and then with this game, I'm a little bit encouraged, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they are leaning on the running game. And even though Melvin Gordon didn't play, I said last week when I picked the Chargers to win, watch out for Eckler, watch out for Justin Jackson, and that was the difference in the second half. Has anything? I'm gonna go to my friend Les here. Has anything gone wrong since London?
They slipped up against Denver at home.
It was a road game.
My bad. Road game. Road game in L.A.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? I mean, we got to lose sometime.
Well, that's what went wrong.
Yeah.
Should they be invited back?
Much.
Should they be invited back?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, they're a good team. Defense is good. Bosa's back. I mean, how long Phillip Rivers plays, who knows? But I mean, they're a good team.
That was another question I had last year when I was trying to decide between the two teams. It does seem like he's been invigorated a little bit. I think Anthony Lynn.
That ninth child
did that.
The ninth baby did it.
Yeah.
So he's a part of the 40-40 club with Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. He's gonna play to his 40.
Yeah.
Okay, rest of the season prospects. Let me see. I'll ask the Baltimore boys. I won't ask the Raider hater. Rest of the season prospects for the Chargers.
I would say they're probably the most balanced team in the AFC. They will probably get the wild card, and there'll be a problem. They have a slight chance of actually winning the division and getting a first-round bye.
We need some help. I'm looking at you,
Yeah,
Kevin.
We're going to help both of y'all out.
they got the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Broncos to end the season. I think 3 of those are toss-up games because 2 of them against teams that they've already lost to. The Bengals, we'll get to that. How disgusting that game is.
Funky monkey.
You never know. Depending on what happens with the Chiefs, with the Ravens, and then when the Chiefs play the Chargers, they could very well end up winning the division, but things got to bounce their way.
All right, Tennessee Titans. They are 6-6. I mean, they have kind of run the gamut. They started out really bad, then they got really good while we were realizing that Jacksonville was not going to be so good, and before we saw that Indianapolis was going to be a little bit better, and before Houston absolutely took off. And now they're just kind of there. They had that big Monday night win against the Cowboys. What's gone right for the Titans and Mike Vrabel since London, Kevin?
Well, they beat the Cowboys and the Patriots, and for a very brief moment, as I mentioned on the show, they were the top-rated defense in the NFL. But that was a very short-lived time frame.
Okay. And what's gone wrong since London, Dad?
They've lost 2 division games, and they're basically a long shot now to make the playoffs because they got to play a couple of those teams again.
And they looked bad in those games, too.
Yeah. Should they be invited back to London? I don't think they represent the league well.
Not at all.
Well, if you let Mike Vrabel coach, the game came down to some exciting shit. Why not?
They don't represent Tennessee well. And it goes back to the show that we had. Who are these motherfuckers? I don't know. How do you market the Titans? I don't know.
I agree. I mean, they don't, like, to me, Delaney Walker is still their star, and he hasn't played all year. Okay, so prospects for rest of the season, really, I mean, I guess potentially they could be competing for the wild card.
It comes down to tiebreakers, and that's Indy and the Ravens, and we already beat them, so they got to have a better record than us.
So
It's the Titans. They play. They have the Jags, Skins, Colts, at home, and then the Giants on the road. Very light schedule. You would think they could possibly go 3-1
Jags, Skins, Colts
at home,
and
on the road against the Giants.
Say they go 3-1.
No, they're not. They're the Titans. They're gonna go 1-3. At
let's
best,
say
2-2.
they do, right?
But if
Let's
they go
say
9-7, then you guys got to win 2 games.
That means we gotta lose.
Oh,
We
no.
gotta go 2-2.
Yeah, you
Which
have
is
to go
possible.
2-2.
We could lose to the Chargers.
But you'll have the tiebreaker advantage.
We'll
though.
have the tiebreak advantage.
Right.
We'd have to
And
lose
if
3
they
games.
do
You guys
win
got
3 out of
Chargers,
the
Chiefs, and
4.
who else?
Tampa Bay and the Browns.
Yeah, those are the 2 wins for sure.
At home.
Yeah.
So if they do win 3 out of the 4, which I'm kind of hoping they do, they finish 9-7, it will complete my prediction that 3 teams out of this division finish with winning records.
That's some bullshit.
All right, let's get to our Brexit boot
Lord.
bag winner. This ought to be fun.
I wonder who this is.
Mike, let's just get right to it. Pull him up. It's Kareem Hunt. But maybe not for the reasons that you think. So Kareem Hunt is the Brexit boot bag winner. As I'm sure everyone knows, at this point, he got into an altercation in a Cleveland hotel in February, the video of which TMZ obtained and released this week, which is disgusting. Uncomfortable to say, uncomfortable to watch, because you see a big, strong man hitting on and mushing with his foot a woman.
Mushy.
He's the Brexit boot bag winner, though, primarily because he lied to his team. When he was asked about the issue, he told Kansas City that he didn't leave the hotel room, that nothing happened. And clearly, that was a lie. So for that, Kareem Hunt, you are our Brexit boot bag winner. Cut the music. All right. I've got some questions for you guys.
Abruptly.
But before we get to the questions, the one thing that I do want to say is this. Folks in the media and people in general have got to stop misrepresenting what domestic violence is. It is far too serious of an issue to just try to lump it all in with everything. Just because a man gets into a fight with a woman does not mean that it's domestic violence, and it does not mean that it is abuse. And as the NFL has proven to be over the last few years, they are completely reactionary. And I understand the Chiefs' actions because, listen, you're putting us in a bad spot. We asked you about the situation. We knew of the situation. You didn't come clean. We asked you multiple times. So him getting cut from the Chiefs, I understand. But I think that we've got to be more responsible, especially when you find out information like the girl in question was an underage drinker, and that was the reason why she was kicked out of the room. Her and her friend were kicked out of the room in the first place. And then you find out that after she was kicked out of the room, the reason why the altercation happened was because she spent 30 minutes knocking on his door, calling him the N-word. And I'm not excusing anything that he did. But we're now talking about 2 adults, because she's over the age of 18, but under drinking age. 2 adults having an altercation. And we've got to ask ourselves, why didn't the Cleveland police see it as anything more than a misdemeanor? Why hasn't the girl pressed charges? Why hasn't the girl shown up yet? Maybe because we would find out some unflattering information about her. So instead of lumping this as an issue of domestic violence and abuse, let's just call it what it is. Two adults that had a fight. Am I advocating for men to beat on women? Absolutely not. Do we all know that, and are we not raised and taught that as a man, you should do everything that you can to avoid confrontation with a woman? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, if we could all act as adults and have proper behavior and etiquette, this will be a different world. That's not the world that we live in. So we need to start calling a spade at the end of the day. And I say this because you have guys like Ray Rice. Ray Rice, this is not the same situation, bro. This is not the same. This wasn't his wife. He didn't know this girl. You punched your wife in an elevator, knocked her off of a pole, and then dragged her out. Your wife. There's a reason why domestic violence is coded as such and why it is a crime. Because in most cases, that is a relationship between two people where there is affection, there's love,
continuous.
it's continuous.
That's
You're
the
in
thing.
exactly. So it's just I'm just really annoyed by that, and the fact that no one in the media, sports media or otherwise, makes this distinction.
It's lazy.
Yes.
It's lazy, and it's easy to just go ahead and lump things. And we've gotten into a situation where our society is everything's black and white. You're either for or against.
Hey,
you can't. There's no
pun intended, by the way.
Right. There's that. And there's no such thing as nuance anymore. Now, again, I agree with you. I don't think that excuses what his actions were. But let's also take in consideration all the facts, like you said, and the fact that he's 22 years old.
Exactly.
And now he could possibly not get picked up or play again because he's being lumped as someone who is a domestic abuser. And that's not necessarily the case. He's not, wasn't it Brown from the Giants? What was his name?
Oh, Josh Brown.
Josh Brown, who was beating his wife for years.
Right.
And the NFL didn't do anything about that. He's not Greg Hardy, who they knew what was going on, and they did nothing about that.
Right.
But because it is a video situation like Ray Rice where we saw it, it's, we have to come down with a hard and swift justice. Like Jason Witten last night, like he went into his diatribe about him growing up with domestic violence, so he hopes that he doesn't play again and all this other shit.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. And
it's dangerous in a league because it's unfortunate. Here's why I'm passionate about this, because you have a league full of black men, right? And nobody's perfect. And because of the NFL's inability to I guess investigate or do their due diligence on the players that are in their league, because they have a track record of being so reactionary, there is this danger that now certain stereotypes will be perpetuated of the big, strong black man. And especially when you talk about dealing with women, particularly when these women are white. So it's just, we've got to be more responsible to each other. We also need to be responsible. We need to expect and call on our media to be responsible as well. And you know what? Demanding responsibility from the media, this is, not to go into politics, but it's the same thing that we need from them as it relates to how they interact with our current president. We need to start calling our president on his shit. We need to expect the media to do their job as the fifth estate? I believe it's what it is. That's their job. So just more responsibility.
And you brought up leadership, and I think it's important that we touch on the NFL, their involvement in this whole process. And reports came out and said that they made multiple attempts to obtain the video, but the hotel said that their corporate policy only allows for footage to be given to law enforcement. And then the NFL claims that they contacted Cleveland police, but the department said Saturday it did not pursue the video because it was not a felony level case. That sounds logical, but knowing the NFL, I absolutely believe none of it. They got Robert Mueller involved in the Ray Rice case. They had the FBI and 57 special agents come in and investigate Tom Brady for deflating footballs. Like, you mean to tell me you guys didn't know about this? And if you did nothing to investigate it? It's just hard given that track record and how they handle things that could give them a black eye, pun intended, they would handle it this way.
Well,
it's disgusting.
I think I hear you. The only thing that I could say with that though is if you got the player telling you nothing happened and you're telling the Chiefs to investigate it and the Chiefs are investigating it, they're not getting anywhere with the police, and then they go to the player and the player says it's not. It's very it's believable, and I could see how the NFL, at least in this instance, could overlook it or could miss it. But to your larger point, which is when you have a track record, you can't take any chance. You can't leave anything to chance. And I think that's
with the Ray Rice case, that he told, hey guys, this is what happened. He told them the truth. This is what happened. And the NFL just kind of 2-game suspension. Oh, the Ravens will handle it. All right, brush it away. And then the video came out, and it's like, he's like, bruh, I told y'all what happened. And now you guys respond this way? It's very hypocritical. I'm not condoning anything they did or saying they deserve this or don't deserve that, but it's hypocritical given that track record.
And then in Hunt's situation, video comes out, and now all of a sudden he has another assault charge from January.
You got another 2 that have actually come
exactly.
out.
And I mean, the NFL wants to sweep something under the rug until they can't. And they couldn't do it once the video came out. And that's really their position.
I think that's football's culture in general, though. If you look at how they handle things on the collegiate level, how, everyone knows people are getting paid. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know that's a fact. But everyone's up in arms when someone gets caught. Then it's, oh, my gosh, we have to suspend the school. We have to do all this. Like the whole Joe Pa shit with Jerry Sandusky. Mm-hmm. Bruh, that's a 40-year thing going on. And nobody stepped in and did anything about that. I just think that's the culture, because the most important thing is to get the right players on the field so they can generate more and more revenue. And I think that's never going to change.
Is it football or is it just sports?
It's America.
There you go.
Jack.
There you go. You come up with Rob? Do you see a difference with Joe Mixon at Oklahoma?
Do you see it? Well, since you're going right there, so right, there's that question specific to the Chiefs, and the question I asked for you guys: do you think that the reason why the Chiefs actually did this was, let's look at the track record of the Chiefs. They had Tyreek Hill. Yep. So when you talk about Joe Mixon in college, Tyreek Hill had his situation where he was abusive to his girlfriend. You've got Larry Johnson, who got busted down for domestic abuse. And then you've got the crazy case of Javon Belcher, a few even before Larry Johnson. So do you think that had as much to do with the situation with Kareem Hunt, just because this is a situation that the Chiefs have dealt with before?
I think that adds to it. I think Ray Rice had more to do with it than anything because of the similarities with the video. I think they knew the backlash with Ray Rice, and they're like, okay, we're not gonna get stuck like the Ravens and kind of go back and forth. We're gonna get rid of this now.
I think their history played a big role. When you have someone killing themselves in the parking lot, and after murdering, the wife or the baby mom, that played a huge role with them. They don't want no parts of that.
Yeah. Would it have been different if it was Patrick Mahomes, Kevin?
Yes, Kevin. Would it have been different?
That is a great question. I don't think it's hard to tell because you would hope that people would do the right thing despite the person or the circumstance. But I couldn't see them quickly releasing him that way. I think it might have been a 1-game suspension, which as a Ravens fan I would have loved. But I think it would have been more due diligence to get to the bottom of it if there's a player that solely impacts the outcome of the totality of this season, because the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes are a serious Super Bowl contender. The NFL couldn't afford something like that. I think they would have handled it differently. Not saying they let him off the hook, but I don't think they would have just been willing to cut ties and cut him out the league that quickly if it was a guy with a different caliber stature in the league.
Do you think that with today passing and no one picking him up, do you think that the Skins last week picking up
Reuben Foster
kind of put the kibosh?
That's an interesting question. Yes, I think that has something to do with it, because I think the Reuben Foster Redskins sort of reaction was instructive in terms of, do we need to deal with this backlash right now, or can we just wait until the season ends? Because I do think, and it leads into my final question for you guys.
Skins just went ahead and did it anyway because they already in the shit.
It leads into my question, which is, do you think that... Yikes. that Kareem Hunt will get picked up, get another job again. I think that, you let the season pass, you let it die down. You pick him up, he gets offers, you go ahead, you pick him up, you'll get a little bit of noise. He's probably going to be suspended another 5 or 6 games into next season. Then you'll have to deal with it again once he comes back, and then that will be the end of it. So I do see a team picking him up. I do think the Redskins situation with Reuben Foster and the backlash they got was instructive for teams. Do you all agree that Kareem Hunt will get another job again in the NFL, Kev?
I think he will. He's 22, 23 years old, led the NFL in rushing last year. I think that theory of, because they applied this to Ray Rice, if you can produce, if production outweighs the headache, they'll take it on. We're going to see how true that is because we all know the kid can play.
Yeah, and domestic abuse is lower on the totem pole than disrespecting the flag, so he'll probably get a shot. But I think what he needs to do is probably get a firm and go looking for dirt on old girl to make his case look a little better.
Yikes, Devin.
Yikes. Is he wrong, though?
I mean, he should have gotten a firm before he did that interview on Sunday.
Yes, that was
because it was clear. It was clear what he was trying to accomplish, which was to basically take ownership of the situation, which is fair and which he absolutely should do. But we've seen the video. The video explains itself, so you might as well go ahead and say what the situation is.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And express yourself, because if you don't create the narrative will be created for you, which is what
reminded me a lot of Isaiah Thomas's interview with, I believe it was it Brett Musburger after the whole
Bird thing?
Larry Bird thing. He was up there and it was like, cancel this. Cut it off. It's a bad look.
Nah, but I definitely think he's gonna play again. I mean, if they can let Leonard Little and Dante Stallworth back in the game,
he actually murdered a person.
They murdered people and they played again.
All right, let's get to our NFL football tea, also hot topics. And this is a special one because we're just going to focus in on coaches. We've got 3 categories of coaches. We've got coaches that are on the brink. We've got coaches that have gone over the brink. And then we've got coaches who have made a comeback from the brink. We will start with going over the brink because on Sunday, shortly after losing at home to the Arizona Cardinals, the Green Bay Packers, a.k.a. Mike Murphy, told Mike McCarthy, "You're done."
Go Pack.
Go Pack.
Go Pack.
No, for real.
So the question I have for you guys is, does he get a job next year, 1, and 2, which job would be the best fit for him? Dad.
No, he doesn't get a job next year.
Really?
I've said this for a while. I didn't think he should have been there this long. If you take a look at the team after after they won the Super Bowl, which was a team that got hot, one of those teams at the right time.
15-1.
They went 15-1, and they lost because they didn't address the issues that they had previous to that. Each year after that, they put everything on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders to be Superman week in and week out, and he continuously got hurt, and they would either fall into the playoffs or they would be out. His coaching had to do with that. And the way that his relationship is with the golden boy of the league, the highest paid player in history, I don't think that's going to go a long way, because what you can do then is say, since you put everything on Aaron Rodgers to be Superman, then he's the one that was winning those games and not you. So why would we bring you in?
Interesting. Junior Blue, was it him and his coaching, or was it the fact that Ted Thompson didn't really put the pieces around him?
I don't think they ever really had the pieces. Green Bay, Ted Thompson is known for, we're not picking up free agents. We're not going to pay our free. We're going to let them go, and we're just going to We're going to draft them. They get past that first contract. If they're really good, we'll pay them a second time. If they're just average, we let them go, and then we bring in new rookies again. And that it worked because of Aaron Rodgers. He can make average receivers look great, and he can cover up. He can cover up some issues on defense because he's going to put up points. So I really think Holmgren's offense got real stale towards the last couple of years, but as far as overall, I think it's the GM upstairs.
Kevin, your brother says he's not going to get a job next year. Do you agree?
I do, because I think the more recent thing to do is to take a year off and then come back the following year. I think he will have job opportunities for teams with young quarterbacks that he can kind of have more control over. I think that the fact that Aaron Rodgers has proven himself in his league, Super Bowl winning quarterback, he's 35 years old, can't tell him shit. I think that he may have a more successful outing with the younger quarterback and help develop our offense. But again, to what Les just said, I do agree wholeheartedly. I think they need a roster overhaul as much as they needed a coaching one.
Let's go to coaches that are on the brink. We've got the New York Jets' Todd Bowles, who snapped on his players this week. We've got the Carolina Panthers' Ron Rivera, who, my God, I mean, it's going.
I cursed that motherfucker.
Yeah, it's going south. And this week, before this Sunday's game, Dave Tepper, the new owner of the Panthers, said some changes have to be made, and I think they actually fired a couple of defensive assistants. We've got Dan Quinn in Atlanta, who just got the kiss of death from Arthur Blank because he was like, he supports him. And then we've got our good old buddy who stays on the brink, Mr. Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati.
He at home.
Of these four coaches, who's not coming back after this season, guys? Junior Blue.
I don't think Bowles makes it.
You think Bowles is gone?
I think he's the one gone. And actually, if Holmgren gets a job next year, I think it's going to be the Jets.
McCarthy?
You mean McCarthy?
I'm sorry, McCarthy gets a job.
When you said that, I thought you were keeping with the offensive scheme.
I thought he was too. Now we know he was just fucking up.
Exactly. So that's where I think it goes. Just for the same reason Kev said, young quarterback.
Okay, so you think Todd Bowles is gone. Dad?
I think a few of them are gone.
Okay, let's call him out.
I think Riverboat Ron is gone because after he saved his job with the 15-1 season going to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
He saved that. But Kevin gave them the kiss of death. They looked really solid, but you lose 4 straight in that kind of fashion, and you lose some of them because of your moniker, because you gambled.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the midst of a playoff run, and you can tie the game and go into overtime, and you have the momentum, and you decide to leave it in the hands of Cam, who's not the most accurate
And then
passer.
Cam had his annual stinker. He always has a game where he stinks, and he really stunk this week and lost to Tampa Bay.
Home.
You think he's...
I think so, because if you're new ownership, right, which they are,
come on down the street,
right, and you got the talent. You know McCaffrey's a stud. You know Cam has been an MVP in this league, and your defense has been solid. You have one of the best inside linebackers in the league. You want to win now. You want to take advantage of that. You were just there. You were on the brink of winning the Super Bowl, and his antics led. I mean, that's at least a win or two, and they're 6-6. They could be 7-5, 8-4. And the last one, I think Marv is finally done.
You think Marv is over the brink?
I think Marv resigns.
Oh, to set up Hugh?
Yeah, that's the only way he's out.
You agree with Devin, Kevin?
Yeah, I think the Amsterdam experiment's over. Todd, come on, bro. Pack your shit. You got to go. I mean, he started McCown over a healthy Sam Darnold for whatever reason, but it wasn't a popular move. You got the kid out there. You ain't got nothing to play for. You're supposed to play him. Ron Rivera, they're on pace to go 8-8. He hasn't had consecutive winning seasons during his entire tenure there. I think Ron's out. Dan Quinn. I've been telling y'all this on the show. Don't mention the Falcons around me. I have shit to give them after that Super Bowl victory. They have too much talent that they're not getting production out of, and the same thing for Marvin. They got talent on that roster, whether healthy or not, that he hasn't been able to get the most out of. As much as I love Marvin and all his blackness, he got to get the fuck out of there with that bullshit. It's over.
I think with Atlanta, we know who's getting the boot.
Yeah, Sark's definitely gone. I think that's what happens.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what happens.
Sark, but I think whoever they bring in as the OC,
You got to get in there now.
You got to get in there now, right? And then coaches who have made a comeback from the brink. One of those coaches is actually coach of the Baltimore Ravens, Mr. John Harbaugh. Coming into the bye, they were 4-5, and the Bluebirds were singing, and we were getting ready. We was getting ready for a turnover.
Fireside chat.
Fireside chat was on the way, and then they put the rookie in. He's going 7-5. He's doing this dangerous dance, though, Harbaugh, that is saying, oh, I don't know who's going to be the quarterback.
It's the right dance.
It is the right dance, okay. And so, how does this play out? Does John Harbaugh keep his job?
Well, I think it depends. I think it depends on how this whole thing plays out, because with Lamar, I think we've done what we've had to do to win those 3 games and stay alive. That's honestly what's most important. And we didn't necessarily choose Lamar. We didn't have a choice. Joe, went down.
No, you had RG3.
We could have went the RG3 route, but your starting quarterback goes down, your number 1 draft pick is there, you play him. I think he's done a great job of what we've asked him to do, and as much as I want to credit Lamar for the winning and the fact that the crime rate in Baltimore is down and it was 60 degrees on Sunday, I can't. I mean, I can't. I don't think he definitely has played his part and done well and shine, but I can't give him all the credit. I mean, we've got three running backs that are playing now that weren't playing a month ago. We've got a healthy left tackle and right tackle that weren't playing a month ago. We have a healthy C.J. Mosley, a healthy Jimmy Smith, a healthy Marlon Humphrey, who I think is the best player on our team, that weren't playing a month ago. So I think that the fan in me wants to see Lamar Jackson play and progress and all the excitement. But I think if I'm a decision maker, specifically if I'm John Harbaugh, and if we don't make the playoffs this season, I'm not going to be around for Lamar Jackson's development next year. If I'm Harbaugh and Joe Flacco's healthy, he's my quarterback. We got to make the playoffs.
So, Dad, that's what it is? You have to make the playoffs in order for him to stay?
We have to make the playoffs, and 1A is he has to handle this QB situation correctly. What I mean by that is there's a lot of excitement around starting Lamar, and there's always been a lot of hate towards Joe Flacco for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. Watching those games in the way that I do as a legit fan, not a fucking fanboy, breaking down plays, watching the game more than once.
Right.
You drunk the first time.
Yeah, I mean, you're drunk the first time. The second time, you want to see what happens. But we won those games for different reasons. He gives us a good chance to win because of what he brings to the table. But there will be times, and we talked about this the first week, where he's going to have to make throws. We should have beaten the Falcons 40-something to 6. Mm-hmm. But he missed throws. He's fumbled the ball 9 times in 3 games.
Talk about it. So I know what January Joe looks like. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Lamar looks like. He is definitely the future, but he's not completely ready. But it may work this week because that might be what we need to do. We'll talk about that.
We're going to talk about that, but it all comes down to how we handles this.
All right. We've got Vance Joseph, Junior Blue. Denver Broncos, again, same sort of situation. They was dead in the water. 3-6.
Stinking.
Vance Joseph was on his way out. Not only are they 6-6, Junior Blue, but just how you talked about Tennessee's schedule, y'all need to take a look at the Denver Broncos' schedule these last 4 games.
We had the tiebreaker over them, bro.
They could go 4-0, though.
Yeah.
Did he save himself, Junior Blue?
He saved himself.
He saved himself.
I mean, they got rid of Thomas, and their offense is playing better.
Phillip Lindsay.
Phillip Lindsay.
Undrafted.
Out of Colorado. I mean, he's balling. The defense, Von Miller and Chubb, they doing they're playing well. Yeah, secondary.
They lost Chris Harris. Will probably lose him
He's
for the
done.
rest of the season. But if they make the playoffs, he could come back for the playoffs. The thing about Phillip Lindsay, he's actually going to, this is for you, Kevin, he's going to break Dominique Rhodes' record as far as the most rushing yards in the season by an undrafted rookie. Another coach back from the brink, Jason Garrett. I think Jason Garrett, Mr. Clap him up. I think he's the white man's Marvin Lewis.
Yep.
That's what I've settled on.
Ken, when I text farce in the first quarter of that Sunday night game?
Yes.
I actually meant to apply that to Jason Garrett, because as much as the Cowboys have resurrected their season, they're playing well, I'm not signing up for another year of his shit. I don't care how successful this season is. He ain't the guy. He ain't, and he hasn't been for
He's
some
the guy
time.
for Jerry, though, Kev.
And that's
all
what matters
that's
in
all that
Dallas.
matters.
And they're gonna keep being a mediocre football team with Jason Garrett as their head coach. I guarantee. I don't care how this season ends. If they win the NFC East, if I'm a Cowboys fan, I don't want him there next year.
Finally, Here's a shocking name, Mr. Dirk Cutter. Listen, Tampa Bay, I think we had Tampa Bay booked for 2-14, and they was going to be flip-flopping between Fitzpatrick and Jameis and Fitzpatrick and Jameis. And then Heisman Trophy Jameis showed up. And I think I said to you guys this weekend, he is getting ready.
Bamboozled.
He is getting ready to bamboozle Tampa Bay. Will Dirk
Go,
Cutter,
black man, go.
Will Dirk Cutter be around, though, for the bamboozle?
Yes, and here's why.
Wow.
Yes, because that team is super scrappy. And the way that you sell it to ownership is, look at my quarterback situation, and look what I was able to do.
I'm listening.
That's it.
That's it.
That's what I was able to do.
He got one bullet point.
That's it.
Devin,
Look what
Devin,
I was dealing with.
do you remember what I said about 30 seconds ago about Jason Garrett?
Farce.
Apply that to Dirk Cutter. Him, Jameis, Fitzpatrick. Get them funky motherfuckers out of Tampa Bay. They're not cutting it. He's not cutting it. Let's move on.
All right, let's get to our game picks. First of all, we've got Philadelphia versus Dallas. We kind of set it up or alluded to it earlier in the show. Philadelphia won last night. They're 6-6. They're going to go against the Dallas Cowboys, who are in first place in the NFC East, 7-5. The game is in Jerry's
Get them
world.
records up there. Somebody made a move this week.
Well, I mean, you know.
Y'all been making fake moves all season, man. Stop
Yeah,
playing.
Kevin's he's still up there 128, but we getting down to the nitty gritty. Kevin.
Omar had a bad week, bro. Yeah,
Omar's week was so bad.
it was a fraction.
He doesn't even have dashes anymore. He's got slashes.
That's my bad. I'll fix that later.
Philadelphia versus Dallas. Let's make this quick. Is anybody taking the Philadelphia Eagles on the road?
Nope.
They can't stop the run. Nope.
All right.
Or the Pats.
Well, since Baltimore is here, we'll save that for last. Omar's Chicago Bears in a big game. This is probably the biggest game that the Bears have had in the regular season in
11 years.
15 years easily. The Los Angeles Rams are coming to town to visit. Kev, who you got?
Is Mitch Trubisky playing?
He's questionable.
I think he's playing,
I
though.
think he's
Yeah, I think he's
playing
playing.
because they said, if it was a meaningful game last week against the Giants, he would have played. So yeah.
If this game was in LA, it'd be a no-brainer, but I'm still gonna go with the Rams.
Rams. Okay. Dad.
What's the temperature in Chicago?
Cold.
Yeah. I wanted Omar's opinion to pick this. This is a tough game. I may change it. I may pull a Kevin. I gotta
I get the first place, baby.
Yeah. I would say Rams, kinda.
Okay. Junior Blue.
I have the Rams. As long as they change their offense from being the downfield offense that they are to more shorter passes like Green Bay did in the second half of their game against the Bears, because I don't think the pass rush gets to Goff if they keep on trying to push the ball down the field.
Yeah, Omar, I want you to remember this. I know you're listening. I know you're watching this show. I stood with you, man. I'm taking the Bears.
I want to. I said I may be on Sunday.
I don't trust Matt Nagy because he comes from the tree of Andy Reid, and I don't trust those coaches to ever do the thing that they should do, which is you can run the ball on the Rams. I've been saying it all season, but I do trust that Bears defense. They're going to stop the run. The one game that the Rams lost this year against the Saints, Todd Gurley only had 60 yards rushing. They're going to stop the run, and they missed Cooper Kupp. Quiet as it's kept, they were only winning by 3 points going into the fourth quarter on the road against Detroit last week. And then Todd Gurley exploded in the fourth quarter. That doesn't happen. I think the Bears win a close, low-scoring game.
That's what I want to say.
All right, Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, Junior Blue. Who you got?
KC, because fuck y'all.
So salty.
It's real analysis for you right there, huh?
Hey, Dad, what do you say in Harlem Nights? Don't take that ass whooping personally.
Personally.
We had to do it last week. Sorry.
Listen, this is a close game for me, guys.
It is.
It's a really close game. 5 out of the 10 picks that Patrick Mahomes has this season were in the 2 losses. This game is going to come down to whether or not Baltimore can get Patrick Mahomes to throw interceptions to turn the ball over. That's really what it comes down to. Kansas City is terrible against the rush. They give up 122 yards a game. D Ford and Justin Houston are great outside rush linebackers. The worst thing that you can do to a running quarterback is rush him. You need to keep him in the pocket. I don't see that happening. So I do see a close game. The game is at home for Kansas City, and Baltimore doesn't necessarily need this game to win to make it to the playoffs. So I take Kansas City in a close game for that reason. Baltimore, why are you guys going to win?
Ball control, because they can't stop the run. And this is why, what I said earlier, Lamar gives us that opportunity to run for 200 and some yards versus them. And our defense is really, really fucking good, and we can make Mahomes make mistakes. We don't give up big plays. Now, Kelsey might kill us, but Tyreek Hill's not.
The games that you guys have won, or I should say the games that you guys have lost, the quarterbacks also have thrown interceptions. So I think it comes down to Mahomes, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm going to pick my Ravens because that's my team. I'm not going to pick against them. But we are underdogs in this game. I think the only team we've beaten this year with a winning record was the Steelers. We've struggled against good teams, against great offenses. We're going to find out if all the hype our defense keeps getting, which dominates bad teams, can show up against a good one. I agree with Devin's point, ball control, but we also have to score touchdowns.
Kevin,
and it's going to be tough to...
All season, I never brought that up, and you just brought it up. That you guys don't beat any good teams. Except for one.
And I think that's part of the hype that we're getting about, now we're 3-0. I mean, you can beat 3 terrible teams with a backup quarterback. You can't do that against the Saints, the Panthers when they were good, or the Steelers. You can't. So we're going to see.
Yep. All right, well, y'all think it's a gamble. Well, we still gambling. We might not be fucking with the people we was fucking with, though. Pieces of shit. But I digress. Kenny, can we get into All In with Ken segment? Tell us who you got, man.
Yeah, the league ambassadors, we care about the people. So we're no longer going to promote a business entity that is a fraud. And we'll just leave it at that. As far as the picks go, the Funky Monkeys is coming to the Los Angeles.
The Funky Monkeys is coming.
Specifically, they coming to Carson because the Cincinnati Bengals are coming, and they're coming against the Los Angeles Chargers, my Los Angeles Chargers. And folks, I'm not telling you to pick them to cover, which I don't normally do. Big spreads, I believe it's 14. I'm not telling you to do that because I'm a fan of the Chargers. I'm telling you to do that because Cincinnati has Jeff Driscoll starting at quarterback. You don't know who he is. A.J. Green, gone. The defense has been gone for about 8 weeks. The Chargers are going to blow them out. So pick the Chargers to cover. Straight up, I like the Steelers to win on the road against Les's Raiders. I don't think you need an explanation for that. And then finally, in terms of the game total, Atlanta is going to Green Bay. The total is 49. Take the under. It's going to be 25 degrees, number one. Number two, Atlanta has the 6th worst rushing defense. There's going to be a lot of Aaron Jones in that game. And on the road, the Atlanta Falcons only average a total of 22 points. I don't see Green Bay scoring 27 because Aaron Rodgers can't throw the ball to himself and get open. So it's a low-scoring game in the cold. Take the under 49, the Chargers to cover, and then the Steelers to win straight up against the Oakland Raiders. This has been a fun show. Thank you for visiting 32 Kings Road. Follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. Check out our website, theleagueam.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, League Ambassadors, and we will see you next week. Cheerio.
Once again, there's only one bird in the sky.
7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken, put 100 on a tease with the streak for the cash. ESPN, Seth Curry with the shot. The prodigy. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, Eldad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O. the buck wild problem child.
Flow butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the league ambassadors, and we playing to win. At the 2-yard line, and make no mistake, we running it in.